tea all started with a single word: nasty. President Donald Trump, never shy with his opinions, publicly called Canadians nasty for boycotting travel to the U.S. The reason? Canadians were choosing to spend their holidays and money at home, a move Trump saw as economic aggression. In response, the Trump administration threatened a sweeping 35% tariff on all Canadian goods, from timber to maple syrup, effective August 1, 2025. The message: accept a new trade deal on American terms or face economic pain. This threat sent shockwaves through Ottawa and every provincial capital, turning a simmering dispute into a full-blown crisis. For many Canadians, the nasty label was baffling. Choosing Muskoka over Miami hardly seemed hostile. Yet the tariff threat was no joke. It challenged Canada's economic sovereignty and put millions of jobs at risk. The situation escalated quickly, moving from a war of words to the brink of a trade war. Instead of intimidating Canadians, the insult galvanized them, tapping into national pride and a determination not to be bullied. The stage was set for a confrontation, not on a battlefield, but in boardrooms, on factory floors, and in the hearts of ordinary citizens. The world watched to see if the polite nation to the north would bend. But Canadians were just getting started. The boycott that angered President Trump wasn't government policy, it was a grassroots movement. Canadians, tired of political rhetoric from the South, started voting with their wallets and wheels. They canceled trips to the U.S., choosing the Rockies over the Grand Canyon, Prince Edward Island over Cape Cod. A June 2025 report showed return trips to the U.S. by car dropped 38% compared to the previous year. This was no minor dip, it was a seismic shift, a clear message that respect is a two-way street. For many, it was about principle. Why spend money in a country whose leader was threatening their livelihoods? The boycott became a peaceful, powerful protest, ordinary people standing up for their country. Canadian tourism boomed, while American border towns felt the pinch. The boycott revealed the deep economic integration between the two countries, and that benefits flowed both ways. Canadians had found a pressure point and they pressed it firmly. The message was clear: mutual respect or mutual pain. The economic standoff was now personal. Just as tensions peaked, U.S. Ambassador Pete Hoekstra poured fuel on the fire. On July 21, 2025, he echoed Trump's view, calling Canadians mean and nasty, and citing the travel boycott and bans on American alcohol as proof. This wasn't a diplomatic slip, it was official U.S. policy. For decades, the U.S. ambassador's job was to build bridges. Hoekstra's words did the opposite. By linking the nasty label to the boycott, he validated Canadian protest and only encouraged more defiance. The reaction in Canada was swift and unified outrage. Political leaders from all parties condemned the remarks, seeing them as a profound misreading of the Canadian character. Instead of dividing Canadians, the ambassador's statements solidified public opinion and strengthened national resolve. The idea that vacationing at home or skipping American wine was mean struck most as absurd. Canadians now saw themselves facing an unreasonable partner. The ambassador's attempt at intimidation only amplified Canadian unity. The battle lines were drawn more clearly than ever. The insult had become a rallying cry. Canadians were no longer just defending their economy, they were defending their dignity. The diplomatic blunder had backfired spectacularly. The standoff was now about respect. Canada's provincial leaders responded with unity and defiance. British Columbia's Premier David Eby led the charge, turning mean and nasty into a badge of honor. "If standing up for our sovereignty and jobs makes us nasty, then we should all be proud," he declared. Eby's words captured the national mood, reframing the insult as a symbol of strength. Other premiers quickly joined in, from Alberta to Ontario to the Maritimes, all echoing the call for solidarity. They recognized the tariff threat as an attack on the entire Canadian economy, not just one region. In Canada's decentralized system, provincial unity was crucial. Any division could be exploited by the U.S., but the premiers closed ranks, coordinated messaging, and prepared for economic fallout. Their collective defiance sent a powerful signal. Canada was united, from the Prime Minister to every province and territory. The message to Washington was unmistakable: you're not dealing with a divided house. The Premier's unity became a cornerstone of Canada's resistance. The country was ready to stand firm together. The insult had forged a new sense of national purpose. Prime Minister Mark Carney convened an emergency summit with all premiers and territorial leaders in Huntsville, Ontario. The image of every First Minister at one table was a powerful symbol: Team Canada, united. The summit's purpose: coordinate a national response to looming U.S. tariffs and support targeted industries. Leaders pledged mutual support, ensuring no province or territory would face the crisis alone. But the meeting was also political theater, aimed squarely at the White House. The message: Canada's leaders, regardless of party, stood together. BC Premier Eby summed it up: "We won't take these attacks lying down, we'll stand strong together." The summit ended with renewed resolve and a unified voice. This unity was Canada's greatest weapon. The people's quiet protest had become a formal national strategy. The world saw a country ready to defend its interests, together. The heart of Canada's stance was Prime Minister Carney's clear position: no deal at any cost. He downplayed the chances of a new trade agreement before the August deadline, refusing to be rushed. The Carney doctrine: Canada would endure economic pain rather than accept a bad deal. Carney bet that U.S. supply chains and consumers would also feel the pain, forcing Washington to reconsider. His calm confidence reassured Canadians. Carney's symbolic visit to a Hamilton steel plant put a human face on the conflict. "We'll agree to a deal if it's in Canadians' best interest," he affirmed. This was about more than politics. It was about protecting real jobs and communities. The Carney doctrine asserted Canada's right to act in its own best interest, free from intimidation. The public rallied behind this principled stand. Canada was defending not just a trade deal, but its sovereignty. Since summer 2025, nasty became a symbol of Canadian pride. What was meant as an insult was embraced. #NastyCanadian trended, t-shirts appeared, and memes spread. To be nasty now meant to be strong, principled, and unapologetically Canadian. Premier Eby's words gave people permission to feel proud of their defiance. Personal choices, canceling trips, buying Canadian, became part of a larger cause. The insult from the White House gave Canadians a new, active way to express patriotism. Canadians saw U.S. demands as bullying. Standing up felt like the only honorable response. The quiet politeness for which Canadians are famous was revealed as resilience and stubbornness when pushed. Being called nasty was a compliment in disguise. This pride united Canadians across regions and backgrounds. The shared experience forged a bond of solidarity. The insult had backfired, strengthening the resolve it was meant to break. Beneath the rhetoric, the conflict was about jobs. The 35% tariff threatened millions of Canadian livelihoods, targeting industries from autos to forestry. Canadian products would become too expensive in the U.S., risking factory closures and job losses. The Premier's United Front was a direct response to this threat. Their mission: protect jobs and prosperity, and prepare support for affected industries. The fight was also about defending a rules-based trading system, not one based on power. Canadian leaders argued that stability and fairness benefit both countries. The travel boycott, while symbolic, had real economic impact, showing public willingness to sacrifice for the national cause. This public backing gave the government leverage in negotiations. The battle for Canada's economy was being fought in boardrooms and in everyday choices. Canadians were ready to endure short-term pain for long-term principles. As the August deadline loomed, Canada faced uncertainty with quiet resolve. The insults and threats had forged a stronger, more united nation. Leaders' promises to defend jobs and sovereignty were backed by a united front at every level. This solidarity was Canada's greatest asset, ensuring hardship would be shared and support available. The strategy: stand firm, prepare for impact, and negotiate from strength. The nasty comment, meant to divide, became a catalyst for national cohesion. Canadians rediscovered pride in standing up to a superpower, not with aggression, but with principle. The experience left a lasting mark, proving Canada would not be passive when its interests were at stake. The summer of 2025 was about more than trade. It was about defining a nation. Whatever the outcome, Canada had already won a victory of unity and resolve. The country was ready to face the future on its own terms.